The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
Okay, let's go.
Hey everybody, Ray Doustdar here, and we are back, episode number 6 of the Deep Shallow Dive, and today we are going to do another 712 edition. Just for those that are joining us new, the 712 is a topic that I'm going to try and get covered in under 10 minutes. It's either going to be a current event or it's going to be something that I'm going to try and start a conversation with in order to then do a deep, shallow dive at another time. So again, we're going to keep the 712s ideally to around 10 minutes. And then the bigger deep shallow dives, we're going to keep those to under 30 minutes. And ironically, I found some data which I thought would be interesting, but the median episode duration of a podcast is 38 minutes and 42 seconds. Now, the average American commute and listening time is 26.4 minutes. And then 46% of listeners consume a full episode, with 18 to 30 minutes being the sweet spot for completion. So that feels good. I think we're right on point, and I appreciate my friend Amy Plum Chandler who pointed out, Ray D, nice deep shallow dive on deep shallow dive. That's pretty funny. I'm also going to give a shout out to my buddy Howard Cole, whom I've known, over 20 years now. And, he really challenged me with something, in a good way, by the way. And he said, hey, I think at the end of the day, the question you need to answer is, why should I listen to you? Or why should we listen to you? And so I've been giving that a lot of thought. And, initially I thought at the end of the day, my content will speak for itself. And hopefully by the time you've listened to a few episodes, you really resonate with the content. But besides that, which by the way, I hope that ends up being true. But besides that, I think the main reason why you should listen to me is I have zero agenda with this, and I have zero skin in the game. Whether it's talking about social event or whether it's talking about, something political or anything along those lines, I don't have any skin in this game, and I really have zero agenda. My only agenda is I want to try and have us look through, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, the lens of common sense. God, I really feel like common sense has gotten lost over the past 3 or 4 years. And so that's why I'm trying to be, incredibly objective, look at things from every side. I love crowdsourcing opinions on things. And unlike other podcasts, I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. Or even better, I'm willing to admit where new data or new opinions have come in, and collectively, we think about things in a different direction. The other thing is, I'm not trying to be an echo chamber here and, just be another guy that thinks this or another guy that thinks that. I listen to a ton of podcasts myself, and, everything is so partisan these days. Everything is either super far one direction or super far the other direction. I'm not even going to say the call signs of those directions because, again, I'm trying to stay away from all that because I don't enjoy any of that stuff. I really don't. What I enjoy is applying common sense to everything that happens and calling a spade a spade. So that's what we're going to do. I'm also going to continue to give my friends shout outs because I think it's fun and I think it's funny for them to hear their name on a podcast. All right, a quick little bit of housekeeping from the previous episode where I pulled back the curtain and let you know how I literally created this podcast. If you didn't get a chance to listen to that, I think it'll be informative for you. It's episode number 5. It basically talks about how in the process of 5 days, I created and built this podcast. And it talks about a lot of cool AI companies that I used and just kind of helps you understand that. Also, if you want, the first couple episodes I think are very informative. You can go back and give those a listen, including my debut episode, my fiery take on the Republican debate, and then an initial episode that helps you understand this BRICS alliance, which has taken place between Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, along with some new countries, and then also about the CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. Okay, real quick, from that last episode, I did want to clarify, when I say RSS feed, that RSS feed is created by your hosting platform. So in my case, that's Spotify for podcasters. They're the ones that give me that RSS feed, which is, again, just like a web address. And then I put that in Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Google Podcasts, all that. The other thing is, when it comes to hosting platforms, there's a ton of them out there, and there's a lot of good ones. You know, Buzzsprout is really good. There's one called Libsyn. There's one called Acast. These are all good. I just chose to go with Spotify for podcasters because I liked the way their user interface worked, and that's who I went with. But there's tons of choices for that. Lastly, when it comes to ChatGPT, I had a lot of questions about what I use. And honestly, I'm currently using version 3.5, which is the free version. But I have heard from people that I really trust their opinion that the 4.0 version, which is a paid version, I think around $20 a month, I heard that thing takes it to another level, and it really, really unleashes a host of things that you can't get in 3.5. All right, so the first main thing I wanted to talk about today is I want to talk about term limits when it comes to, the folks in Congress. And really what's causing me to have this discussion is, once again, Mitch McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader, it looked like he maybe suffered a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, which is like a mini stroke. Once again on stage when he was getting interviewed. I believe it was yesterday. And he had one a couple weeks ago. And, at the end of the day, it's just sad. Like, the reporters are asking him about running in 2026 again for re-election. And then, he kind of freezes. It's just sad. That guy, whether you like him or you hate him, he's dedicated himself to in his way, helping America. And now he's older. And, again, it's time to retire. I just don't understand why this is so controversial, whether it's Mitch McConnell on the Republican side or Dianne Feinstein, the senator from California, on the Democrat side. I believe they're both 81 or in their early 80s. And so think about this. Anyone else in their early 80s, who, by the way, has the net worth those two have, which that's a whole different topic of how they acquired that net worth in a public servant role. But anyone else in their early 80s, they would have been retired by now. But for some reason, we're seeming to normalize people staying in Congress, of all places, making decisions to run the United States of America, making decisions that impact all of us. It's like they're in their early 80s. Most people I know are definitely retired by 70. And when they're not, you feel bad and you feel like it must be for financial reasons. But with these two, it's not for financial reasons. They are probably, honestly, I think they both have generational wealth. So there's no need to work anymore. So then you start asking yourself, how is this in the best interest of the country? And again, I think what's interesting about this is you've got one on the Republican side and you've got one on the Democrat side. So this isn't a partisan issue. This is a bipartisan issue. Why are they keeping these folks? It's just mean. It's like mean. Again, I don't know if it's against their will or what, but at the end of the day, again, I'm calling a spade on this. There must be other reasons why they're keeping them around, whether that's to, vote in the direction they need a vote. It's almost like a free vote for each side. But think about it. It's just not right. Early 80s, generational wealth, and yet you're maintaining your role in a position that affects 300 million people? Obviously, I understand they were voted in by the people, and I just looked it up, and McConnell's been in the Senate since 1994, and Dianne Feinstein has been in the Senate since 1992. And by the way, she's 89. I didn't realize she was 89. My bad, I kept saying early 80s for the both of them, but she's 89. Come on. All right, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. God, that was probably a bad pun, actually. but I'm not going to keep beating the drum on this. Seriously, this is one of those things I feel like we should all be on the same page about. At the end of the day, they should retire. They should be retired. They should be enjoying this stage of their life. And when I see them having things happen to them like Mitch McConnell has a couple times, honestly, my first inclination is I feel bad for them. I feel sad. Like, it's a sad thing. You should not be doing that. You should be enjoying yourself, spending time with your loved ones. I'm sure they both have grandkids, and that's what they should be doing. Anyway, that's it for today. That is the 712 edition of the Deep Shallow Dive. Hope you enjoyed it. And remember, always call a spade a spade. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
This episode was brought to you by Boost Liquid Vitamins. Wake up, take your Boost, start your day. Drink your vitamins, build your immune system with Boost. Available on Boost.com.